Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Oregon started 3-0 last season, but then lost 3 of their last 4 games, including a 34-17 loss to Iowa State in the Fiesta Bowl. But the silver lining was that Oregon clinched their second straight Pac-12 title, and now they're looking to make it a three-peat. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to predict Oregon's schedule and record for this 2021 college football season. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And also make sure to check out everything down in that description below, including our brand new expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and now NFL spread picks in the country. Make sure to sign up today before the season gets started, because I promise you, you're not going to want to miss out on that offer. So, okay, let's take a look at Mario Cristobal and the Ducks, guys. They've won 2 straight Pac-12 titles. They're the favorite to win it again. It would make it 3 straight Pac-12 titles. And after such a strong start last year, they kind of fizzled out towards the end. That's okay. I'm here to tell you that's okay, because they have a lot of talent coming back, and I don't expect much of a fizzle towards the end of 2021. If anything, they're going to finish strong. Take a look at this team, guys. The Ducks returned 7 starters on offense, and there was a surprising move this last offseason to see that Tyler Shough, the transfer quarterback, or the quarterback for Oregon last year, transferred out to Texas Tech. He was the starter last year, played okay, nothing special, but did fine in replacement of Justin Herbert. Many people thought he'd stick around, but transferred out to Texas Tech, which means Anthony Brown, the transfer from Boston College, is the starting quarterback for Oregon. And I would say that Anthony Brown actually fits Joe Moorhead's RPO system that he's trying to run as offensive coordinator. He fits that mold better than I would say Shough ever did. Anthony Brown is a solid passer. He's efficient, and I think he's a little bit better with his legs, better dual threat capabilities. When you look at Oregon's offense as a whole, not only do they have Anthony Brown, they now have Travis Dye and C.J. Verdell, both choosing to return to Eugene, both choosing to return at running back. And their top 2 wide receivers came back as well in Jaylon and Johnny Johnson III. Anthony Brown has weapons left and right, and this RPO system that Moorhead's implementing could really take off in 2021. All the pieces are there for it. Defensively, that is going to be a strength for Oregon this season. 7 starters back. Yes, they lose their defensive coordinator in Andy Avalos, left to take the head coaching job at Boise State. But they have one of the best defensive players in the country. Kayvon Thibodeaux was voted the Pac-12's top defensive lineman in 2020. 3 sacks last year. Absolute beast, absolute force. Is going to be a very high NFL draft pick. He returns. Noah Sewell is back as well at linebacker. He was the Pac-12 Defensive Freshman of the Year. Had 45 tackles at linebacker last year. They've got Verone McKinley III in the secondary as well. Oregon is stacked on the defensive line, the linebacking core, and in the secondary. They have playmakers at all 3 levels. And that's going to make this one of the best defenses, not just in the Pac-12, but one of the best defenses in the country. When you take a look at Oregon this year, guys, the goal, yes, win another Pac-12 title, win a 3rd straight. But eventually Duck fans are going to get tired of that. They want to break through and make the college football playoff. And I believe this is the year they have to do it. I'm not saying it's the year they will do it, but it's the year that they have the talent, the coaching staff, the schedule even, where they can do it. Because we talk so much about the Pac-12 and how one loss could ruin you because the strength of schedule isn't there. Well, the strength of schedule is absolutely there for Oregon, and it's all because of that Week 2 date at Ohio State. And we're going to talk about that right now. We believe Oregon does defeat Fresno State in Week 1. So the Ducks will start 1-0, and we should have a top 10, top 15 matchup in Columbus in Week 2 as Oregon travels to take on Ohio State. The Buckeyes were supposed to come out to Oregon last year, but of course COVID ruined that. This is one of the most highly anticipated games of the year. And you could venture to say and make an assumption that Oregon's defense, as good as they're going to be, could feast on a brand new quarterback for the Buckeyes. Now, we believe it's going to be C.J. Stroud, could be Jack Miller, but whoever it is, it's not Justin Fields. So, second game of the year, brand new quarterback for Ohio State. Oregon could go back there and rattle him, create some pressure. Kayvon Thibodeaux gets a couple sacks. They force a couple turnovers. And Oregon will be in this game well into the fourth quarter. Could even win this game. You could also make the case that Anthony Brown exploits this Ohio State defense. The Buckeyes only returned 4 on defense and had one of the worst passing defenses within the Big Ten last year. Up there is one of the worst passing defenses in the country last year. But I look at Ohio State outside of all of that. They have home field advantage. Their first home game of the year. Their first game is at Minnesota. So they're going to be battle-tested enough coming in against a conference opponent. Now their first home game of the year is against Oregon. On top of that, they allow just 169 points, or Oregon allowed 169.6 rushing yards per game. That spells bad news for me, considering that Ohio State has Master Teague, one of the better running backs in the conference. Stack on Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave with whoever's under center, and Ohio State's offense should be firing on all cylinders. The way Oregon wins this game is by creating pressure on the young quarterback and remaining consistent and putting up points on offense. They stall too much offensively, Ohio State will take advantage of that. And I think that's what happens. I don't think Oregon's offense is completely up to par by week 2. I believe that Ohio State's offense is going to be doing just fine. Yes, they're no Justin Fields. Yes, they're not going to be as good as they were last year offensively, but they're good enough. The talent is there. Tack on home field advantage, a very hostile environment. We know Columbus is one of the most difficult places to play in the country. And I believe Ohio State wins this game against Oregon. And I do think the Buckeyes win this game by double digits. Oregon does beat Stony Brook. We don't have to worry about that. And then they get their first conference game of the year against Arizona. And what a great first conference game it is, because you're basically getting a free win going into the bulk of your schedule. Arizona is a dumpster fire right now. 0-5 last year under Kevin Sumlin. He gets fired. Jedd Fisch is in. Hasn't been in the college ranks in a long time. Was in the NFL ranks as the quarterback's coach, but hasn't been in the college ranks in forever. Jedd Fisch, brand new head coach, mostly starting a freshman quarterback, an offense that averaged just 17.4 points per game, a defense that allowed 39.8 points per game, and 270.6 rushing yards per game. I think C.J. Verdell and Travis Dye go off in this game. Arizona's offense is no match for this Oregon defense. The Ducks blow out Arizona to wrap up September. They're 3-1. They then travel to Stanford. Last year, Oregon defeated the Cardinal 35-14. And here's the weird thing about Stanford, guys, is David Shaw is a great coach. He's going to get the most out of his players year in and year out. The Cardinal finished very strong last year, won their final 4 games after starting 0-2. So they've got a little momentum coming into 2021. But the thing about them now is Davis Mills is gone. He's no longer their quarterback. Jack West is. The whole season relies on him. Their defense is the strength. 8 starters are back. The linebacking core in the secondary is phenomenal. But it's the offense that's going to sputter and be the difference maker for Stanford. And when you're going up against a very stout Oregon defense, I don't have a lot of faith in Stanford putting up the numbers to upset the Ducks. I also don't have a lot of faith in Stanford's rushing defense as well, after allowing 222 rushing yards per game. So the game, I think, is a little bit closer than it was last year. Oregon won by 21 last year. I don't think they do that again now, but they will beat Stanford on the road, and I feel very confident in that. They get their bye week sitting at 4-1. The only losses to Ohio State. Oregon is still a top 15 team. Heck, maybe even could be as high as number 10, 11, somewhere up there. They're still in the playoff hunt. They're still in the Pac-12 title hunt. They got nothing to worry about. Bye week, play California at home. Last year, Oregon fell to the Golden Bears by 4, 21-17 on the road. We actually picked that upset. We picked it up back way earlier on in the year and stuck with it. We predicted California to upset the Ducks. And when you look at California, their offense should improve. I mean, Chase Garbers is still there, right? He's the most experienced quarterback within the conference. Chase Garbers returns. The whole offensive line returns. I believe California, the one thing that's been holding them back under Justin Wilcox has been their offense. That's not going to be the case this year. 4 starters are back on defense, though. That's usually their strength. Could argue could be a slight weakness this year. I don't think so. 7 starters back, or 7. The back 7 is very strong for California, and that's what's going to test Anthony Brown in this game. Another very stout secondary. But the ground game should do just fine for Oregon. Brown's dual threat ability and the duo of Dye and Verdell is going to be the difference maker here. In a lot of these games, more than it will be Anthony Brown making plays through the air. I believe Oregon's going to be more of a run-heavy team, not necessarily with their running backs, but also with their quarterback as well, the RPO offense. They beat California. At UCLA, Major trap game for the Ducks, guys. Major trap game. Last year, Oregon only beat the Bruins 38-35. UCLA had a chance to win that game at the end. Well, now Chip Kelly's squad returns 19 starters, including dual threat quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson, including their running back Britton Brown, including their top 2 wide receivers. Their defense allowed just 135.7 rushing yards per game, but they allowed 274.1 passing yards per game. So we just said that we believe Oregon's going to do the majority of their damage on the ground. In a game like this against UCLA, I believe they'll do the majority of their damage through the air. You play to your opponent's weaknesses. And UCLA's weakness right now is their secondary. It's their passing defense. And so expect a couple big-time connections from Anthony Brown to Jaylon Redd, Anthony Brown to Johnny Johnson III. And even though this game is on the road, I think Oregon's defense does just enough to stop Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and Oregon wins this game against UCLA by 1 possession. If they can keep Robinson in the pocket, prevent him from escaping, Oregon will be just fine. Make him win the game through the air. Don't let him win the game on the ground. And I believe Oregon and Mario Cristobal will do just that. Oregon then faces another dangerous rushing team in Colorado. Dual threat quarterback in Brendan Lewis, now taking over for Sam Neuer, who transferred to Oregon State. And then a dynamic running back duo in Jarrett Broussard and Alex Fontenot. This is an offense, guys, that averaged 212.3 rushing yards per game. So Carl Durrell is doing something in Boulder. He is playing his style of ball. He's got his players that he wants in there, not the players he recruited, but players that fit his style, and they are doing extremely well with it. Again, 4-2 surprised everybody. Don't expect Colorado to be as good as they were last year, but expect them to put up solid numbers again, especially on the ground. It's the defense that, again, needs work. Oregon has to be careful not to be overlooking the Buffaloes in preparation for that Washington game. I'd be more cautious of it if they were at Colorado, but getting the game in Eugene, I feel very confident in the Ducks here. They will take care of Colorado, get into their final 4-game stretch the month of November, with the first one being at Washington, a game that could decide the Pac-12 North. So let's think about this all for 1 second. They are a 1-loss team coming into November. 1 loss to a good Ohio State team. Ohio State team that could be top 4 at this point. Oregon is absolutely in the thick of the playoff discussion in the final month of the season. They travel to Washington, a team that should have won the Pac-12 North last year. They were unable to play in the championship game because of COVID. They gave up their spot to Oregon, who was in second place. Oregon took advantage of it, won it, made the Fiesta Bowl. So if you don't think Washington's bitter about that, you're wrong. Washington and Jimmy Lake are absolutely bitter about that and want some revenge over the Ducks, even though they didn't even play last year. Oregon and Washington, as we know, are major rivals. Oregon has won 14 of the last 16 games against Washington, including a 35-31 victory at Washington in 2019. The Huskies return everybody. Offense is loaded. Not necessarily full of talent, but in terms of experience. The defense, of course, is going to be a strength for Jimmy Lake. He's a defensive-minded coach. They look great. They want to run the ball, guys. They have a great running attack, 176.4 rushing yards per game. That's what they want to do. But Oregon's going to know that. And Oregon's going to be able to stop that. And I, right now, don't have faith in Washington's passing attack, whether it's led by Dylan Morris or Sam Heward, the 5-star quarterback recruit. I don't have faith in their passing attack, and really the offense as a whole, to get the job done against the Ducks. I'm going to err on the side of history here. Oregon has dominated the Huskies over the last decade. Again, won 14 of the last 16 meetings, whether that's in Eugene or whether that's in Seattle. And I believe Oregon beat a young Washington team. Washington team that's going to be good. A Washington team that's getting there under Jimmy Lake. But they're still too young right now. They still have too many questions on offense. And I believe the Ducks do win on the road against the Huskies and basically lock up the Pac-12 North with that win. They then play the other Washington team, Washington State. They went 1-3 last year. Oregon beat them by 14, 43-29 in Pullman. And they're entering year 2 of their run-and-shoot offense under Nick Rolovich. So that's exciting. That's very exciting. Washington State, give them credit, they hung with Oregon last year. The problem is they allowed 307 passing yards per game. Very, very poor secondary, very similar to UCLA. So again, while the majority of this season could be Oregon winning games on the ground, there are a handful of games where Anthony Brown's going to show out big. And this is going to be another one of them against the Cougars. They're still too young, and they're not going to have enough to come on the road. Oregon wins this game. Still in the thick of the playoff hunt, but unfortunately they travel to Utah on November 20th. If you remember, a few years ago, Oregon was in the thick of the playoff hunt, traveled down to the desert to take on Arizona State, and the Sun Devils beat them. The Sun Devils upset the Ducks, who I believe were number 6 at the time, and ruined their college football playoff hopes. And I believe we're going to see a very similar situation here with Utah as the Utes play spoiler to Oregon. Rice-Eccles Stadium is a very difficult place to play. Salt Lake City is a very difficult place to play, especially at night, where I can very well see this game being played. Utah returns 18 starters, 10 on offense. They now bring in a transfer quarterback in Charlie Brewer from Baylor, a solid transfer quarterback, I should add. And their defense, with 8 back, is always solid under Kyle Whittingham. And I think you're going to see numbers very similar to that of which we saw in 2019, when Utah almost made the college football playoff before falling to Oregon in that Pac-12 championship. A little bit of revenge maybe for the Utes, 2 years removed. But Oregon on the road here, guys. It's a major trap game, and I believe they do fall short in this one to a good and improving Utah team. Their playoff hopes are dashed. Their Pac-12 title hopes are not. They've pretty much clinched a spot at this point. They finished up the year against Oregon State, their rival, the one they lost to 41-38 last year. If you don't think Oregon's out for revenge, again, you're wrong. I think the Ducks annihilate the Beavers, guys. I know it's rivalry week. Anything can happen. But the Beavers lose their biggest offensive weapon in Jamar Jefferson. I don't have faith in Tristan Gebbia. I don't have faith in Sam Neuer to get the job done at quarterback. And I don't think the Beavers' defense is quite up to par yet, especially when they're facing an angry Oregon team. Not just angry after a loss to Utah, but angry after the events of last year. Oregon defeats the Beavers in the season finale. They finish 10-2. 10-2. Make the Pac-12 championship again. Whether they win that or not, you'll have to wait and find out. We'll announce that later. But 10-2, one possibly went away from making another New Year's Six bowl game. Another great season for Mario Cristobal and the Ducks, but for the 3rd straight year, falling just short of their ultimate goal. Of course, that is making the college football playoff. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at The Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. Also, make sure to check out everything down in the description below, including our brand new expert picks. Make sure to sign up for those before the season starts. Some of the best spread picks in the entire country. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.